to do this. If I get 1.2 million, I'm going to do that. If they tell me they only have 600, we'll figure out this. And my reaction is always, those people don't have a plan. They don't have a vision. So, I personally believe you should have a plan, have a set of terms, negotiate. I don't mean be a jerk, but don't equivocate. And I don't know, Jeff, what do you say?
Yeah, no, this is right on the dime. So advice for entrepreneurs, come in to your meeting with an angel or any other investor and have a laser focus on how you're going to succeed. And then the investor hears that's how they're going to get paid back. It's okay to have contingency plans, different thoughts, all of that. It's not okay to come in and talk like Dave said about this might happen, I might do that. Pick out a path, show profitability in that path, serve it like a laser. And then, if you want to talk about other possibilities, say, once we get to milestone 3, 4, 5, then we may do X, Y, and Z if something happens. That's okay to have that discussion, but have it later on. The first discussion to have is, this is how I'm going to succeed, period.
I would also add to that, come in with understanding of the different forms of financing. There's enough information on the web. Foundry Group has a great blog where you can read about how they structure seed, preferred, convertible debt, all the way to Series A. I mean, all this research, the World Wide Web, is just giving you free legal advice, basically. And if you come in and you're well educated on the different terms, it's a lot easier to have that difficult conversation with the other side of the table and come into something that's fair. And their books, and so both
I'm just going to put in a plug here. There's the folks from Foley here today. There's the other venture group sponsors, all of them who will, if they won't sit down with you for an hour, one of the other ones will. So, not to put you guys on the spot, Rick, but, yeah.
But there's a point there that says every investor probably in the room has entertained a discussion with an entrepreneur where the sheet was offered and there was an overinflated pre-money or the terms were vacillating. There's a common solution to this problem, and that is surround yourself with a board of advisors that could vet what your deal looks like before you even bring it to us. And we live in a dynamic, awesome ecosystem in San Diego. And if you fail to do that, there's an optical collateral damage that's going to happen if you get the terms wrong or you don't have a cogent plan, and you're going to get overshopped. And we live in a small community here, my friends, so reputation travels quickly. So get it right the first time, spend the time up front to do research and get some really cool, engaged board of directors and advisors.
Yeah, Dave's right. We talked about this before. San Diego is unique in many aspects, one of them being an organization like Connect, like Evo, where you can go and get free advice, people who are going to help you just because. That doesn't exist up in the Valley. I born, raised, did my career up in the Valley. No free advice there. Lots of stuff to do, tough, smart people, all that good stuff. There's no Connect, okay? So entrepreneurs, take advantage of the resources you have here. It's a terrific place for that.
And Dave, maybe your point about don't be a pig, maybe part of that is the advisor point that was made. That's a great point. I mean, in my case, we had great advisors. There wasn't a we. I had great advisors at the time that vetted a lot of what was being worked on early on. And these folks, folks in the audience would know these names. They're very helpful. And that's where you want to share some of your future success with advisors through shares and be gracious that way, because their time's really valuable and you sure could use it early on.
Because you know what? If you think your business next stop is venture capital, I'm not going to do your dirty work. I'm not going to tell you that, yeah, your mother, your uncle, and your cousin invested at a 10 million pre, and you got to go back and tell them that I'm buying in at half the price they paid. No, in fact, I'm going to tell you, you go tell them that you're going to give them more of your shares because you want them to be happy. I'm not going to clean up all your capital structure. I'm going to say go away and get it cleaned up and then come back to me. Oh, but by then I've lost interest because I found a new bright, shiny object to play with. So I think this concept of getting it right to begin with is so important. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to get through this all.
So one more bolt-on comment on this,
Sure.
advisors, if I may.
Go ahead.
I would argue that if you're an entrepreneur, you should follow this concept of a 10-10-10 rule. You spend 10% of your time finding the 10 smartest advisors you can and do it in 10 months. No special reason behind those numbers other than when you get to about month 16, those 10 will distill out to 5. Because those 5 will be the ones that are engaged and delivering value on an advisor level. And all the time you spend finding them, networking with them, doing lunches with them will pay off in droves for you. And San Diego is an awesome place to get connected. SDVG did the incubator event not too long ago. And 19 years ago, there were 2 incubators in this town. Now there were 18 on the stage. And we lost count after 18. There's more that couldn't show up that day. So there are tons of resources in this town. One of them is leverage it to get a board of advisors to help you think through a lot of this.
Terrific. Okay, Rule 9. Oh, and by the way, all of these are going to be up on the Venture Group website, sdvg.org. That's also where you can find out about Venture Summit, our July event on boards, what's going on, daily news. If you're not already part of our LinkedIn group or Twitter feed, you should be, because you get a tweet almost every day about what's going on. But these will be up there for you to share as broad and wide as you want. Rule 9. Rule number 1 of sales. Tim Caulfield, you know this. Always ask for 2 more names. Every time you meet with someone, ask for 2 more names of people you talk to. I don't know, do we even have to discuss? I mean, would anyone argue with that?
I don't think so.
Maybe it should be 4 or 5 on that list.
I mean, did you get anyone investing in your company that didn't come through some relationship that you had already made?
No, it's at 6 degrees, and I think, whether it's 2 or just simply saying, who else might be interested in this, right? And it may be 2, maybe 1, maybe 5. I think, it's also a mindset that what Adam is doing, and certainly what I think we're doing, is to make money for people. That's my job. That's his job, is to make money. It's not about changing the world. That comes after. And so it's an opportunity for someone to evaluate whether this is the right fit for them to take that risk. So it is a two-way thing. It's not like your hat in hand only. It's a great opportunity. And so friends with that mindset might look at somebody else who might have money. They may have just had a great exit. They want to dabble in certain businesses. And it's a connection and a favor to both parties, not just us.
Let me ask a follow-on question, and this is kind of anyone, but I know in many of my cases, and I believe this as a truth, I could probably put it up as Rule 10, but I didn't know how to write it. There's 1 or 2 people who become the key to a fundraising round amongst individuals. That they believe your story, and they go out to their network and say, I'm in, you should be in too.
Boy, absolutely right. So especially true in my group. Once an entrepreneur has secured a champion within my group, just to stay on TCA, that champion really drives the success of the deal. He or she becomes the deal lead, and a lot rides on that. So entrepreneurs, spend time courting champions. It'll pay off for you in spades. I'll say more than that. It's critical for success. Get champions.
I would argue it's probably a bucket of champions. 1 for fundraising activities, 1 for customer acquisition, someone who will keep you visible on the radar in the local community when you can't be. So champions will reside in 3 or 4 different areas in the business.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank our panelists today. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. With that, as I said, we hope to see you all at Venture Summit on June 19th. There's a lot going on that week. There's Startup Week with a bunch of other activities going on. So go out and have a great day. Thank you.